Luka just went off. Luka was flat out unstoppable tonight. He dropped 45 points, grabbed 11 rebounds, and knocked down 7 3-pointers. That's right, 7 threes, all while shooting 14 for 27 from the field. This wasn't just some random big night either. This was the most points he's ever scored as a Laker. And it's not just the points that stand out. He also had 2 steals, showing that he wasn't taking any plays off on the defense. At halftime, Luka already had 29 points and 7 rebounds. 29 points in just 2 quarters. He was 9 for 15 from the field and 5 for 9 from deep by then. He even added 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block before they hit the locker room. And get this, he did all of that with the Lakers trailing 71-63. He was doing everything he could to keep them close. Luka is now part of an exclusive club. He joins LeBron James and Kobe Bryant as the only Lakers to ever score 45 or more points and hit 7 or more threes in a single game. That's legendary company. You know you're doing something right when those are the names you're mentioned with, and he's not slowing down either. Tonight was his 8th straight game scoring at least 20 points. That's the longest streak by a Lakers guard since Kobe back in 2013. 8 games in a row where he's putting up 20 or more? That's serious consistency. One of the craziest things about tonight was his first half. Luka put up 29 points, 7 rebounds, 5 threes, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block, all in just one half. That makes him the only Laker besides LeBron James and Kobe Bryant to have at least 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 3-pointers in a single half. He's right up there with the greats. And it wasn't just a quiet 29 points in that first half. He scored 10 straight points at one point in the second quarter, 10 points in a row. He was completely locked in and taking over. To put it in perspective, Anthony Davis had the previous season high for points and a half for the Lakers with 26. Luka passed that tonight by halftime. And remember, Davis was traded earlier this season to the Dallas Mavericks. Luka didn't waste any time taking over that top spot. There's more history too. In the play-by-play era, only 2 Lakers have ever scored 29 or more points in the first half of a game. Kobe Bryant, who did it 8 times, and now Luka. Luka's name keeps popping up right next to legends every time you look at the stat sheet. Even though they didn't get the win, Luka was flat out brilliant. 45 points, 11 rebounds, 2 steals, and those 7 3-pointers are no joke. He shot over 50% from the field and over 50% from deep. That kind of efficiency with that kind of volume is rare. And he's still the youngest Lakers player to have at least 45 points and 10 rebounds in a game since 1962. That's more than 60 years ago. That tells you how rare a night like this really is. Luka's putting up numbers that only a few players in franchise history have ever matched. Whether it's the scoring streak, the big nights from deep, or the rebounds to go along with it, he's doing it all. And he's doing it night after night. It's not easy to carry a team offensively, especially against tough defense, but Luka's making it look that way. Every time he steps on the court, he's putting up numbers that belong in the record books. Tonight was just another example of why he's already being mentioned alongside names like Kobe Bryant and LeBron James. And I think with all the trade hype, a lot of people forgot how great Luka has actually been this season. Luka's been on an absolute tear this season. Game after game, he's been stacking numbers. And honestly, it's hard to keep up with how much he's doing out there. After everything he did tonight, it just adds to an already insane year. Let's talk about steals first. Since the All-Star break, Luka's been getting it done on the defense, and the numbers prove it. He's tied for 4th with 21 steals, right up there with Toumani Camara, and just behind Ausar Thompson, Chris Dunn, and Dyson Daniels. And Daniels leads the whole league post-break with 31 steals. So Luka being close to that top spot shows how active he's been. That's 21 times he's taken the ball away and flipped things around for his team. And it's not just the steal. Luka's been forcing his way to the free throw line all season, and especially since the break. He's 4th in free throw attempts with 87. That's right behind James Harden, who's at 88, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander with 94, and Paolo Banchero, who leads with 105. Luka's ahead of Giannis Antetokounmpo, who's at 86. That's wild. Getting to the line almost 90 times since the All-Star break means he's constantly putting pressure on opposing defenses. He's drawing contact, absorbing hits, and making sure those defenders pay for trying to slow him down. Now let's talk about his isolation game. Luka's one of the best in the league at scoring when it's just him and a defender. He's 4th in effective field goal percentage on isolation plays at 55.9%. Only Kevin Durant and Paul George are ahead of him. Durant sitting at 57.5% and George has 56.2%. Luka's right there with them though, making defenders look helpless one-on-one. That 55.9% on ISOs shows just how efficient he is when it's time to create his own shot. You know it's coming, and defenders still can't stop it. And if you think Luka's not contributing on the other end, think again. Since the All-Star break, he's got the third best defensive rating in the league at 102.2. The only two guys ahead of him are Rui Hachimura at 99.7 and Tobias Harris at 101.4. After Luka, it's Dorian Finney-Smith with 102.6. 3 Lakers in the top 4, and Luka's right in the middle of it. That's a huge part of why they've been able to stay competitive lately. He's not taking possessions off, and he's making life tough for anyone trying to score on it. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during the season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, Luka. Here's something that blew my mind. Luka's career scoring average is 28.5 points per game. That's not just good, it's historically great. He's third all-time in career regular season points per game. The only 2 players ahead of him, Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain, both tied at 30.1 points per game. Luka's ahead of Joel Embiid, who's at 27.8. Being third all-time in points per game is ridiculous. That's a stat that doesn't happen by accident. You have to show up every night and deliver, and Luka's been doing that since he got in the league. And when you look at minutes, Luka's among the leaders there too. He's averaging 34.8 minutes per game for his career. That's 4th among all active players. Only LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Damian Lillard are ahead of him. LeBron's at 37.8, Durant's at 36.7, and Lillard's at 36.3. Luka's right behind them, and he's still in his prime. That workload shows just how much his team depends on him every single night. Now, when it comes to scoring on isolations, Luka's also putting up some serious numbers in points per possession. He's tied for 5th with Jalen Brunson at 1.08 points per possession. The leaders in that category are Deni Avdija with 1.24, Cam Thomas with 1.21, Kevin Durant with 1.17. Luka's right there though, and that 1.08 is super efficient when you consider how often he's creating offense by himself. Defenders can know exactly what he's doing, and they still can't keep him from getting a bucket. But here's where Luka's really shining, his driving ability. He's leading the entire league in field goal percentage on drives, hitting 59.4% of those shots. Right behind him is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at 59.1%, and then Bradley Beal at 58.2%. Luka's the most efficient driver in the game right now. Whether he's going through traffic, absorbing contact, or finishing with finesse, he's converting drives at an insane rate. 59.4% on drives? That's almost automatic, and it's not like defenders are giving him free lanes either. He's earning every one of those looks. All these numbers just stack up and tell the same story. Luka's doing everything. He's scoring at a historic rate. He's leading drives with insane efficiency. He's one of the best isolation scorers in the league, and he's getting to the free throw line as much as anybody. On defense, he's racking up steals and sitting among the best in defensive rating since the All-Star break. Whether he's locking in one-on-one or helping off the ball, Luka's making a real impact on both ends. And when you think about the workload he's carrying, those 34.8 minutes a game are no joke. He's out there almost the entire game, doing it all, scoring, playmaking, defending, you name it. He's involved in every part of the game plan, and he's delivering. The crazy part is that he's still finding ways to improve. Luka's getting better at drawing fouls and getting to the line. He's getting better on the defensive end with that 102.2 rating post All-Star break, proving he's not just about offense. And his drives, leading the league in field goal percentage on drives, shows how much better he's gotten at finishing inside. He's putting all of it together, and it's translating into numbers that are right up there with the best to ever do it. That career points per game average of 28.5 puts him in conversations with legends. He's right behind Michael Jordan and Wilt Chamberlain. And this season, he's been relentless in keeping that average up. 8 straight games of 20 or more points, and now nights like this with 45 points. That's how you build a resume that lasts. And you can't overlook those steals. 21 since the break, tied for 4th in the league. That's effort, anticipation, and hustle. He's not gambling. He's reading plays and making smart decisions. And it's paying off big time. All of this is happening while Luka's going up against the best defenders in the world every night. And he's still finding ways to lead in isolation efficiency, points per possession, and field goal percentage on drive. He's finding ways to get to the line almost 90 times in a handful of games after the All-Star break. That's a sign of a player who's constantly adapting and evolving. And even with all that, he's maintaining an incredibly high workload. 34.8 minutes a game Night in and night out, he's logging those minutes and still playing at an elite level on both ends of the floor. So when you put it all together, Luka's season has been nothing short of spectacular. The steals, the scoring, the efficiency on drives, the isolation numbers, the free throw attempts, the defensive rating, it's all there. He's filling up the stat sheet in every way possible, and he's doing it consistently, night after night, game after game. And the best part, he's doing it without slowing down. 45 points tonight, 11 rebounds, 7 3. That's just another example of how dominant he's been. And with the season he's putting together, it's clear he's not done yet. Luka's got the numbers, the efficiency, and the all-around game to back it all up. Whether it's scoring, playmaking, or defense, he's been one of the best in the league this season, and he's showing no signs of letting up. And even though it is every year, his offense is on another level this year. Luka's offense this year has been on another level. Every single stat backs it up. He's scoring efficiently, creating for others, and carrying a massive workload without slowing down. It's been incredible to watch, and the numbers make it clear just how dominant he's been on that end of the floor. Let's start with his true shooting percentage. Luka's sitting at 58.2%. That puts him in the 66th percentile. So not only is he scoring a ton, he's doing it efficiently. 58.2% true shooting means he's getting the most out of every shot. Whether it's finishing at the rim, pulling up from deep, or knocking down free throws, he's making it all count. And when you factor in how much attention defenses give him every night, staying that efficient is no small task. Then there's his shot quality, which is at 62.8. That's also in the 66th percentile. Luka's finding great looks, even when the defense is all over him. It shows he's making smart decisions with the ball, choosing when to shoot and when to pass, and getting high-quality chances more often than not. And he's not just settling, he's working for good shots and converting them. One of the biggest areas where Luka's offense stands out is in his free throw rate. He's at 35.2%, which lands him in the 87th percentile. That's huge. It means more than a third of his shooting possessions end with him getting to the free throw line. He's forcing defenders to foul him because they can't stop him otherwise. And when he gets to the line, he's adding easy points to his total, drawing contact, absorbing hits, and still getting calls. That's a sign of an elite scorer. He's also letting it fly from deep at a high rate. Luka's three-point attempt rate is 46.5%. That puts him in the 58th percentile. Nearly half of his shots are coming from beyond the arc. And when you mix that with his ability to drive and finish, defenders are constantly guessing. You step up too close, he's blowing by. Give him space, and he's pulling up. That balance is what makes him so tough to guard. Now, offensive rebounds aren't really his thing, and that's clear with his offensive rebounding stat sitting at negative 1.8, landing him in the 13th percentile. But let's be honest, nobody's asking Luka to crash the offensive glass. That's not his job. His role is to run the offense, create shots, and score. And he's doing all of that at an elite level. When it comes to taking care of the ball, Luka's been solid. His calculated turnover percentage is 7.9%, which is in the 56th percentile. He's carrying a massive load, and yet he's not turning the ball over at a crazy rate. That's impressive when you consider how much he has the ball in his hands. With his usage, keeping turnovers down is a big part of what makes him so valuable on offense. Speaking of usage, Luka's load rating is 63.6, which ranks in the 99th percentile. That's right, 99. There isn't another player out there doing more for his team offensively. He's the engine behind everything they do. He's creating shots, scoring, and running the entire offense. It's a massive load, and he's handling it like a pro. And it's not just about scoring. Luka's creation stat is 14.6, also in the 99th percentile. That measures how many shots he creates for his teammates. He's not just looking for his own offense. He's generating looks for everyone else. Whether it's driving and kicking, finding cutters, or making cross-court passes, he's setting up his teammates time and time again. Then there's his portability rating at 7.4, which puts him in the 86th percentile. That shows how well Luka's game fits in any system. He can plug into different lineups, different styles of play, and still dominate. Whether the pace is fast or slow, whether they're running pick and rolls or isolations, Luka's offensive game travels. And when it comes to passing, Luka's passer rating is 7.7, putting him in the 94th percentile. He's one of the best passers in the league. He reads defenses, anticipates rotations, and delivers pinpoint passes. His vision is elite, and he's constantly finding ways to get his teammates open looks. Whether it's a simple read or a no-look dime, Luka's passing has been a huge part of why the offense runs so smoothly. Finally, Luka's crafted offensive plus-minus is 5.1. That's in the 100th percentile. That's as high as it gets. It means Luka's adding more value on offense than almost anyone else in the league. His scoring, his passing, his decision-making, it all adds up to an elite offensive profile. When Luka's on the floor, the offense is operating at an entirely different level. And it's not just one or two areas where he's excelling. It's across the board. He's scoring efficiently with a true shooting percentage of 58.2. He's creating high-quality shots with a shot quality rating of 62.8. He's drawing fouls and getting to the line at a rate of 35.2%. He's taking a ton of threes, keeping defenses honest with a three-point attempt rate of 46.5%. He's handling a massive load on offense with a rating of 63.6, and he's creating shots for others at an elite rate with 14.6. His portability rating of 7.4 shows he can fit in any system. His passer rating of 7.7 ranks among the best in the league, and his crafted offensive plus-minus of 5.1 is as good as it gets. And he's doing all of this while keeping his turnovers in check. 7.9% calculated turnovers is solid, especially with how much he has the ball in his hands. It shows that he's not forcing things. He's making smart decisions, taking care of the ball, and maximizing every possession. Even though he's not grabbing offensive boards, that's not what the team needs him to do. They need him to run the show, and he's doing exactly that. Luka's offensive impact goes far beyond scoring. He's controlling the pace, making plays, and keeping the offense running like a machine. When you look at all the advanced stats together, Luka's season stands out as one of the best in the league. He's efficient, he's versatile, and he's carrying a huge load without missing a beat. Every possession runs through him, and he's delivering night after night. His efficiency on drives, his isolation scoring, his ability to get to the line, all of that comes together to make him one of the most unstoppable offensive players in the game. And with numbers like these, it's clear that Luka's not just having a good year, he's having one of the best offensive seasons you'll see, and he's not slowing down. The free throw rate, the creation numbers, the passer rating, they're all staying strong deep into the season. Luka's proving he can maintain this level of play even with a heavy workload. He's showing up every game, putting up big numbers, and leading the offense in every way. So whether you're looking at traditional stats or advanced analytics, Luka's offensive season has been nothing short of elite. He's scoring efficiently, creating for others, and handling the kind of workload that only a handful of players can manage. And he's doing it all at an incredibly high level. Luka's crafted offensive plus-minus ranking in the 100th percentile says it all. He's at the top of the league in offensive impact. And with the numbers to back it up, it's easy to see why. Every time Luka steps on the court, he's giving his team a chance to win because of how good his offense is. Whether he's scoring, passing, or just running the offense, he's making things happen. And he's doing it better than almost anyone else in the league this season. And you can say the same for his defense. Luka's defense this season has quietly been one of the most underrated parts of his game. People love to talk about his offense, and yeah, it's been elite, but the way he stepped up on the defensive end deserves just as much attention. The numbers prove it. He's not just holding his own on defense, he's making a real impact. Let's start with his deflections. Luka's averaging 3.1 deflections per game, which lands him in the 81st percentile. That's huge. It shows how active he's been in the passing lanes. He's constantly disrupting plays, tipping passes, and making life difficult for ball handlers. Those deflections aren't just random stats, they lead to turnover, fast breaks, and stops that swing momentum. Luka's hands are always working, and he's been a real problem for offenses trying to move the ball around him. Then you've got his reactive turnover rate sitting at 0.2, which puts him in the 70th percentile. That stat measures how often he forces opponents into turnovers with his defensive reads and reactions. Being in the top 30% of the league means Luka's defensive instincts are legit. He's seeing plays develop, reacting quickly, and creating opportunities for his team to take the ball away. On the glass, Luka's been solid, especially when you look at his defensive rebounding impact. His defensive rebounding rating is 0.7, which lands him in the 86th percentile. That's one of the best marks among guards and wing. He's not just ball watching after a missed shot, he's crashing the glass and making sure the opposing team doesn't get second chances. Those defensive boards are huge, and Luka's been cleaning them up at an elite rate. When it comes to rim protection, Luka's numbers are steady. His rim defense rating is negative 0.9, which puts him right in the middle at the 48th percentile. Same thing with his rim frequency, which sits at 36.1, also in the 48th percentile. Now, he's not a traditional rim protector, and nobody's expecting him to be. But the fact that he's sitting around league average in both of those categories shows that he's not a liability near the basket. He's holding his own when he needs to contest shots at the rim. His block percentage is sitting at 1.2%, which puts him in the 39th percentile. Again, Luka's not out there swatting shots like a center, but he's still getting his hands on a few. 1.2% might not seem like a lot, but when you factor in how often he's guarding on the perimeter, it's a solid number. and it shows that when he gets switched onto bigger players or has to make a help rotation, he's capable of making plays. What really stands out is his defensive versatility. Luka's versatility rating is 78, landing him in the 81st percentile. That means he's switching onto different positions and holding his ground, whether it's guards, wings, or even some bigs. Luka's taking on a variety of defensive assignments. He's not hiding out on the weakest offensive player. He's out there competing and taking on challenges, and he's doing it well. And he's doing it without getting into foul trouble. Luka's relative personal foul rating is negative 0.2, which ranks in the 65th percentile. That's a really good number. He's playing active, physical defense without sending guys to the free throw line. He's contesting shots, fighting through screens, and closing out hard without getting whistled for unnecessary fouls. That kind of discipline makes a difference, especially late in games when every possession matters. Now, when you pull it all together, Luka's crafted defensive plus-minus is 0.9, and that lands him in the 76th percentile. That's a strong mark for a player carrying as much of an offensive load as he is. It means Luka's not just a neutral defender. He's adding real value on that end of the floor. He's helping his team get stops, forcing turnovers, and holding his matchups in check. What makes all of this even more impressive is that he's doing it while playing huge minutes and handling the ball on almost every offensive possession. A lot of players in his role save their energy on defense, but not Luka. He's out there making an impact on both ends, and he's doing it consistently. And these aren't cherry-picked stats. They cover every part of defense. His deflections show his activity in the passing lanes. His reactive turnovers highlight his instinct. His defensive rebounding shows his work on the glass. His rim defense and rim frequency prove he's not a liability near the basket. His block percentage adds another layer of versatility. His defensive versatility rating shows he's guarding multiple positions. His relative personal fouls show he's disciplined. And his crafted defensive plus-minus ties it all together, showing that he's a positive on defense night after night. You can't ask for much more from a player who's also running the offense and leading his team in scoring. Luka's giving everything he has on both ends, and it's showing up in the numbers. When you combine his defensive impact with his offensive dominance, Luka's having one of the most complete seasons in the league. He's carrying a massive offensive load, but he's not taking plays off on defense. He's active, versatile, disciplined, and effective. It's easy to focus on his scoring and playmaking, but what he's doing on defense is just as important. Those deflections, those rebounds, those forced turnovers, they're all helping his team stay in games and get stops when they need them most. And with his versatility, Luka's giving his coaches flexibility with matchups. He can guard wings, take on point guards, and even help out in the paint when necessary. He's not locked into one role on defense. He's doing a little bit of everything. Even his block percentage and rim numbers, which are closer to average, show he's capable of rotating and contesting when the situation calls for it. And because he's not fouling, he's staying on the floor and making smart decisions, possession after possession. The crafted defensive plus-minus, being in the 76th percentile, is probably the best summary of his defensive impact this year. It's not flashy, but it's real. Luka's adding value on defense, and he's doing it while leading on offense. For a guy carrying as much of the load as he is, that's elite. Not many players in the league can do both at this level. Luka's one of the few, and the stats back it up. Whether it's the deflections, the versatility, or the rebounding, Luka's showing up on defense. And he's doing it consistently, every night. That's why his defensive numbers this season are so impressive. He's not just a scorer, he's a complete player, and his defense has played a big part in the season he's having. Overall, though, Luka just went off again, and honestly, it's becoming routine at this point. Every single time he steps on the court, he delivers something special. You can talk about his scoring outbursts or his crazy passing, but the big thing this season is how complete his game has become. He's not just putting up points, he's controlling everything. The pace, the flow, the matchups. He's at the center of it all. And tonight was just another example of why he's playing at such an elite level right now. What stands out to me the most is how he's balancing everything. There are guys who score, guys who pass, guys who play defense. But Luka's doing all of it. He's carrying the offense, night in and night out. And at the same time, he's locked in on defense. It's not just about filling up the box score, it's about how he's impacting every possession on both ends. You don't see that often. There are only a few players who can do what Luka's doing, and the way he's doing it looks effortless. This season especially, Luka's game has reached another level. You can see it in how he picks apart defenses. It doesn't matter if teams are throwing traps, double teams, switching everything, he finds a way. If they give him space, he pulls up. If they pressure him, he drives. If help comes, he finds the open man. It's like a chess game, and Luka's always thinking 2 moves ahead. And while he's making all those reads, he's still scoring at one of the highest rates in the league. That balance between scoring and playmaking is what separates him. And you can't forget how consistent he's been. Some guys have stretches where they look unstoppable, but Luka's been doing it every game. It's not a hot streak, it's just who he is. He's giving his team a chance to win every single night. Whether it's a big scoring night like tonight or a game where he's creating for everybody else, he's always making an impact. That consistency is what puts him in the conversation with the best players in the league. But it's not just about the offense anymore. Luka's making plays on defense too. He's getting his hands on passes, grabbing rebound, and holding his own when he's switched on to different matchups. He's competing on that end and giving the effort you need from a leader, and he's doing it without fouling, which means he's staying on the floor and playing smart. It's not flashy, but it's effective. And for a guy carrying so much of the offensive load, the fact that he's still contributing defensively says a lot about where he is right now. The bottom line is, Luka's putting together one of the most complete seasons you'll see. He's got the scoring, the passing, the rebounding, the defense, and the leadership. He's doing it all. And the crazy thing, he's still just getting started. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day during this season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.